Happy New Year, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Day1Radio right here on Livehiphopdaily. I'm Maurice Garland back in the building with my man Brandon Peters. What's happening, man?
What's good, man? Happy New Year. First show of 2020.
Yes, sir.
You know, appreciate y'all listening. Appreciate y'all watching. Make sure you follow us on Day1Radio. That is D-A-Y, the number one radio on all your social medias, man. And this is a blast from the past and a future type thing at the same time.
Right.
Like, if you're a long-time listener, back when we started the show, and what was that, October 2013?
It wasn't 14?
I think it was 13.
Damn, 13. That's a minute.
Yeah, I think it's 13. Gerard Murray and my man Pell were the second guest we ever had.
Wow, I didn't know that.
On the show,
Yep.
yeah. Second guest.
That was our second
time.
time ever doing it.
Okay.
Could you tell that we did not know what we were doing?
There wasn't no test episodes or nothing. We just jumped right in. But that was, that was back when it was people wasn't really podcasts. It was like, what's a podcast?
Right,
you know what I mean?
right.
But so man, now we fast forward in almost 7 years, and we got Gerard in the building with his son. How old was you in 2013?
14 years old.
14 years old.
Youngin'. I had no idea. I was just a bobblehead in the back seat.
Yeah, crazy. Yeah, but these are the owners of LHP, man, and we're gonna get into the history. But you guys, if you listen to that episode, if you pay attention to fashion, pay attention to streetwear, you probably recognize Gerard's face, recognize some of the font and everything on Tahir's jacket right now. From Tradition, which is a line that puts out college apparel as well as their own apparel. But now, fast forward, just like your dad handed down the business to you back in the day, one of the first sneaker shops in the country.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Back to you back in Queens. Mm-hmm. And you turned that into SOHK, School of Hard Knocks. Transition to Tradition. Now you handing the business down to your son, who's in college right now, which is an amazing thing.
Right.
It made me think about, we talked about on the last episode, this Royce album that's coming out, and on the intro, it's a guy speaking to his son, young son, and he's like, if I buy you everything you want for Christmas every year and you turn 18 and have to beg for a job, what have I done? And he says, failed you financially.
Yeah.
So we're talking the opposite of that right now. You know what I mean? So welcome to the show.
Hey, Happy New Year.
Yeah. Happy New Year, man.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So let's get into it, man. LHP, like, where does that come from? Where did the transition come from? All of that.
Wow. Well, I'm going to let Tahir speak on LHP. I mean, LHP stands for Legacy, History, Pride, which, he'll tell you all about it. It stemmed from, first and foremost, this is all a family thing.
Yeah.
And going back to what you said, for where we started, my father, he started a shoe repair store where I got involved with the business, transitioned that into clothing because of the times we were living in. And, I knew it was something to service the community, and we worked it. We became the first black-owned Nike account in the United States.
Wow.
Yeah. Built that to a respectable business, tier one Nike account, and then I started School of Hard Knocks. School of Hard Knocks was something just born out of the hip-hop culture and turned into urban wear, the streetwear to where we are, and then doing Tradition. When I came and did the interview with you guys, Tradition was more or less just a brand that I felt was filling a void and servicing a community that was underserved when it came to quality product. It's been 10 years since Tradition has been rolling, and I've had to say, really, I've been going through everything, bumps, bruises, scars. And we've learned a lot because it's the license game. And in the license game, I tell a lot of people, just name 3 or 4 black-owned companies that's in the collegiate licensing game. We are the only one that's officially licensed inside the bookstore with IMG CLC, and that's Follett and Barnes & Nobles, who owns the majority of the bookstores.
Yep.
But that's what leads us to where we are now with social media, direct to customer, and I was never forced into the business by my father. It was just watching my father put in that work, opening that gate every day, closing that gate, and just really having that seep into me is a privately owned, black-owned business. Not even black-owned, just this man has his own, he's controlling his own destiny. Right. And when it came to me doing it, the same thing with him. Tahir, at the age of 14, when we was doing the interview, Tahir went away to school, Tahir went away to boarding school where he's up there with the privileged, community that, and I didn't think he was going to get involved with the business. I really wanted him to be on that corporate level and everything.
Yeah.
And here it is. He got the opportunity to go to Howard University, and when he got to Howard, I remember him calling and was just like, "Yo, they wearing tradition. It's cold out here." And I'm like, "What you think I've been doing all these years?" You know, I'm like, "What you think I've been doing?" Like, people were really wearing stuff around campus. But then he came back home, and I remember him saying, "Let me take over social media." Yeah. Now, get it, social media. We're not too far removed from. Come on. Facebook starting up, you know, right. Instagram and everything. So him coming to me saying, "I want to take over social media," I took it personal. Like, I got this. He was just like, "Look, man, your photos and your content." And I had to, it was a struggle, and then I was like pulling, and eventually, when he took it over, tradition skyrocketed on a whole nother level. Now, give him the credit. I mean, social media drives your followers, it drives your base, it spreads the word out, but then it drives sales.
I mean, bro, I have made plenty of impulse purchases off Instagram.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And it changed the game. But you know, I'll just throw it through the alley to Tahir.
Let you say something, man. That was 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Jump in, speak on it.
I took over the social media page. That was my freshman year in the fall, and it really started off with a photo shoot that I did with some people on campus. And the beautiful thing about Howard is just like full of so many amazing, talented artists and just creatives, but most importantly, they look like me. And that was like the first time I've really been in an environment like that. So doing that and showcasing other people's work and walking around campus seeing people in tradition, that's when like the light bulb, I guess, kind of just went off. And I was like, this is really like $1 million idea. Just the beauty of giving back to the HBCU community and providing a platform that's never been provided for this culture before. So everything happened with tradition, and we just decided to really focus heavily on HBCUs and only HBCUs, and that's where we got LHP, and we decided to make it a HBCU luxury collection, and it's the first one. So for me personally, I feel like luxury is greater than just the monetary value of something. It's a mindset, it's a standard of excellence, it's the quality of how you live, what you live in. And luxury is not always a word that you pair up with the black community. At least we do. Right. But like other people are not always going to pair up luxury with the black community and pair it up with HBCU excellence. So in my eyes, it's like we are luxurious. Like we are luxurious culture. Everything we do, we set the trends. We are the standard.
Can you speak a little bit more to that? Because you know there's still going to be a lot of listeners where they're like, luxury, yeah, that sounds like 5 extra zeros on that thing. You know what I'm saying? But you were breaking it down to the point where it's like, no, it's not always about the monetary value. Like, can you speak to that a little bit more for people that may not get that? You know what I'm saying? That luxury doesn't always mean something is $100,000, $1 million, or whatnot.
And speaking in just the terms of the merchandise, it's like what I have right now, this is LHP, and it's just like I see this as luxury. Yeah. It's, you know, wool coat, everything to the fabric and the design of it. Right. It's presented to the most highest standard of quality and excellence that we can do. In terms of like just the mindset, like I recently just took a trip to Africa, and it was just very like, it put a lot of things into perspective, and all the opportunities that we have, education and the resources that we have, they see that as luxury. And they really like, that's their golden ticket. If I can go to America, that's the golden ticket. So that's what kind of like put everything into perspective, like, wow, like we have to, I don't know, like put a price value on ourselves. Not a price value, but just put a value on, you know, what we have within our own community. And that's one thing they did heavily in Africa. Like, they all support one another. It's the most prideful community I've ever seen in my life. And legacy, history, pride, like the HBCU culture is so prideful. People love their HBCUs, and they love to look good in wearing their product. And just seeing where all this pride and energy stems from, going back to Africa, going back to the roots.
What part of Africa did you go?
I was in South Africa.
Okay.
So I spent a week in Johannesburg, another week in Cape Town. And hopefully I'll be able to go to Ghana in May, just to see another part of the land. Awesome. But yeah, so that's just a little bit everything full circle. Yeah.
Dope. So how has it been, especially because you guys ramped up the social media presence? You know, we are I always say black people are addicted to tradition, no pun intended. So we rock with what we rock with. So the name, tradition, you guys have hammered into people's heads, the logos, everything for the last 10 years. So switching what you guys are doing to an extent, and now calling it LHP, what was kind of like the strategy behind that name change and everything?
Well, for me, it was just behind the scenes with a lot of things going on. I teamed up, and I'll fall on the sword with this. I teamed up with some people who I really thought was going to help scale up the business. And unfortunately, in business, sometimes things don't go that way. We were doing all we were doing to increase the awareness. The sales were going, but it was in our community. And I'll just leave it right there. I think they wanted a little bit more. And people who know tradition start to see things like Virginia Tech, ODU, James Madison. Was like, the message was getting misconstrued or whatever. Gotcha. And then we had to slam on the brakes. It's still there. The website's still there. You go there, shop if that's what you want, but there's really nothing. And we just wanted to fall back. And I think more than anything, ownership and just knowing we have 100% control. I want to fall back, and I'm not saying I want to retire, but his energy was higher than mine.
Gotcha.
And LHP came to life, and he has it with the 3 pillars, and it's going to really, it's the passing of the baton, really.
Yeah.
It's ironic that the age that Tahir is right now is the same age that I didn't go to my father and say, hey, let me do this. He was just like, hey, if you want to take this business to another level, you go find out where the sneaker companies are, where you get, and I went out and I did. So I think he's a little bit more well prepared, whereas my father just was like, well, you go do it. He didn't take it serious, but we took that and turned it into what we turned it into. So I feel like he can do that, not just with social media, but with his education, where I stopped going to school and came out and ran the business. He's continuing.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think what he just said about, I seen him come back from Africa and saying, I'm going back. And I'm like, whoa, so who knows? We might be doing business over there. I don't know. But, you know, at the end of the day, LHP is his, you know? Yeah. LHP is his.
Kind of like, just to add on that, just working with tradition, everything that we did with the brand, just as a student of the game, because my dad always teaches me to just be a student. Always got to be humble and stay true. So seeing everything of how, like, the shorts escalated to where it become, and seeing Cam Newton wear the shorts, and Chase B, and all these celebrities, and see HBCU, like the talk of HBCU fashion just like skyrocket.
Yeah.
It kind of gave me the vision of like, wow, like we really, really have something here. And if we just focus on the HBCU community, then we could really like make something happen, truly make an impact. Yeah. One of the most beautiful things was when somebody came up to me and they had the shorts on. This was like a random day at school, and they were like, your brand is the reason why like I decided to go to Howard, like I decided to go to HBCU.
Wow.
Like you just gave me a different vision, an image of like what HBCU excellence is, like what the culture is really about. That's what the impact is. Like this is really deeper than clothes, deeper than just some garments. Like it's really about the impact that we're trying to make, you know, for us.
And it's crazy because, I mean, no, it ain't crazy. It makes sense because, I mean, hell, the reason me and a lot of my friends wound up going to HBCUs is because of somebody putting the image out there of it. You know, because you could get told about it till you're blue in the face. You can even have a recruiter come to your school with a suit and tie, like, I ain't going to school there. But like if you see it in a cool way, whether it's, you know, Absolutely. A different world, you know what I'm saying, or the ACAA clothing line, you know what I'm saying, it's like that stuff matters, you know.
Yeah, for sure. You guys spoke a little bit on licensing earlier, and I know behind the scenes you and I have had several conversations about that. So I just want you to get a little deeper into like what are some of the, you know, just the hurdles that you have to overcome with dealing with these schools or licensing and dealing with getting into the bookstores and all of that. Because I don't think most people understand that, like, the bookstore is on campus, but it's not really owned by the school.
It's an independent,
you know? It's an independent body.
Entity.
Yeah, exactly. So speak a little bit on that.
So we've learned a lot. Let's start with licensing. There used to be 2 companies, but now it's 1. So I'm sure everybody's heard of IMG. IMG CLC, Collegiate Licensing Company, they basically have the licenses for all colleges throughout the United States and in Canada. And with that said, they monitor and they are the police to make sure that every garment, ashtray, keychain, anything sold, the school gets their right royalties. And every school gets a different royalty. You could have a small school get anything from 12% to something like North Carolina or University of Texas, you know, getting 20%, you know. Yeah. They do not give that privilege out for licensing to just anybody. You have to present yourself. They have to say, okay, we really need this product for the school. And in our case, when we first did it in the beginning, we thought we wanted those big schools.
Yeah.
But when we went into the bookstores, they looked at us when we came in and was just like, we're going to put you all in the HBCUs. In the black colleges, and I'm like, but what about, can we get Notre Dame? My thing was Notre Dame, because if you go to Follett in their building, Notre Dame has its own room, huge room with just Notre Dame product, and they talk about the numbers they do on Football Saturday, and I'm like, okay, they are the creme de la creme of all the colleges. But they kept giving us HBCUs, and they started us with 5 schools, And it's like, you take the lemons and you make lemonade. And when we made lemonade, it turned into a very tasteful drink, and we was giving it. And then we realized when we came back, it was like, hey, we did this. Can we get Notre Dame? And it was like, we'll see. And then eventually we had to embrace it. And like I said, it's a lesson learned when we fell back and we said, you know what? This is where we need to be, and this is the customer base that we've developed, and they appreciate us. Now, with all that said, when you apply to be a license, you have to be everything from insurance. You have to have your factories where you get the stuff made. Everything has to be thoroughly approved. And we've been walking that line. And I realized that when we wanted to, when he's interested in doing LHP, we went back to them and they had so much respect for us. Because it's almost like we gave you rope to hang yourself and you never did. So when we came back, they were like, are you doing HBCUs? And we were like, yeah, we're going to do it heavy. And they turned around and they gave him the licensing faster than I've ever seen the process, But it's something in place to make sure these schools get what they deserve. And from the school level, the thing that I notice is on some of the black college campuses, you have one person, if it's Miss Johnson, and she's been there doing whatever position, and she's been carrying a whole bunch of different positions. So it's not top on her totem pole, where you could go to a University of Alabama and there's somebody dedicated to just licensing for just clothing.
Yeah.
So, the thing with licensing, it drives money to your school. So when you support us or support any other brand with your school on it, realize the school's getting some money.
And I had to realize that about my school. 'Cause I went to a smaller HBCU. I went to Fort Valley State University, and it's not very often that we find stuff like, you can find some Fort Valley gear. Like, is this something that you just gonna rock like that?
Yeah,
like,
find
I mean, it's like you can wear it to the football game, and that's about it. You
gonna sit in the class.
Right? You ain't wearing it with the Jordans. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, even the last time we had you on the show, like, damn, why ain't you got my school? And you kind of broke it down, like, well, every school got this going on.
So funny enough, Fort Valley is one of our stronger up and coming schools. Fort Valley, Albany, Bethune-Cookman, and what happens from that? We started targeting to the alumni. So you think students. I know you say broke college students, but I got to say, there's some college students that got paper.
Got money, right? Yeah.
I don't know how that happened.
But right now, the alumni, and we partnered with the Atlanta HBCU Alliance, Alumni Alliance, and our partnership really solidified what we were doing, because not only were we partnering with them, we were giving back, not only with the license and royalties we paid, but we made a situation where they introduced their membership to us, and when they paid something, they paid a price, and let's say $20 or whatever it worked out went to each alumni group. So at the end of the day, at the end of the season, when that check had to be given out, and they had their groups and different alumni seeing that A&T was getting a check for $10,000 and this one was only getting a check for $500, it was because, hey, you have to rally your base to get them going. But Fort Valley, they just, you guys just came through with a sweater order for us it was mind blowing. But now it's continuous. So now you have 100 people walking around with sweaters, and then there's another 100, and then, like it's just exploding. So we're slowly getting back out there, and I think price is important to make the price points. That's something we discovered, because out the box, our prices were, our sweaters were $120.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying with any shame, but we were dealing with a manufacturer that was dictating that.
Yeah.
But now we've been in this game for a minute and been putting up those numbers, and people come back and say, hey, we want your business. And I'm like, well, you got to negotiate better pricing for us.
Yeah.
And that's how it is with some of the, but still, licensing products tend to be a little higher because of that royalty that you pay.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Nah, but I feel like you guys brought, like Maurice was saying, a different wrinkle to the game. Like, I have sweaters that I bought from you guys, like, long time, but I don't know how many years ago. And whenever I wear them, people will be like, oh, where you get the, like, it's brand new. Because they're not familiar. Like, they're like, oh, I never seen, something Clark that looks like that. Or they're like, oh, man, I need that, for my school or whatnot. So that was something that was needed for sure. Because, like, the regular basic Russell or whatever sweatshirt that you see in every bookstore in America is just like, we fresher than that as a people. Like, you know what I mean? We want to take shit to the next level most of the time. On the HBCU thing, I think it's been a lot of talk over the last couple years or so about how enrollments at HBCUs are changing, whether it be some of them are struggling or some of them have a super increased enrollment of folks that don't look nothing like us. Like, it's a HBCU in West Virginia. that literally has a little over 2% black enrollment, which is insane.
And it's been like that for years.
Yeah, it was 92% white. Now it's 86% white. Wow. So like, does those things happening, like, does that come into play with the business models or how you guys approach things? Because honestly, a lot of the issues is money. You know what I mean? So it's like, if will give you all the licensing, and you know their alumni and their student base buy it, it's actually bringing money into the school that they wouldn't have seen otherwise.
I think the culture that we're in right now, the political culture, has made people, if you want to say, come home.
Yeah.
Just to say, hey, you know what, I want a safe environment, or I want a more warm and inviting environment, and they're sending their kids there. The enrollment has increased. I think it affects us by, we watch the bookstores order different now. When it was like, you know, hey, you're only giving us these 5 to 6 schools. Now it's like, hey, can you guys do this? And they're talking about schools, and we're looking at them like, yeah, we could do that, but, you know, are the numbers there? And I understand some schools buy way more because they have a high enrollment, and some who have the small enrollment, we make it better, whereas our minimums used to be high. We used to tell them, you have to order 120 pieces of a sweater.
Right.
Whereas we go in now, we say it's open stock. Because now I realize, let me just get it in there, and it'll do its thing.
Demand.
Because they really, I think I said this last time to you guys. I remember the day going in there and not even saying which of the 2 bookstores. They looked at what we had and said, no one on those campuses could afford any of this stuff, and it was a slap in the face. And you know, for real, I'm sitting there with a buyer, and she went to IU and never stepped foot on a, University of Indiana, and never stepped foot on an HBCU, but she was buying for the HBCU, and I was just like, wow. And I was just like,
it's corporate America.
They're yearning. They want this quality product. Trust me, they want it. But I'm just sounding like I'm selling it. But you know, we tend to rise. You know, as people,
Absolutely.
We tend to support each other. And I think even going back to, like you said, where you went to school, we grew up in New York. You don't see people boasting colleges in New York, but you come down here and it's left, right, your neighbor, everybody's about their school. Everybody's about their fraternity, sorority, and everything. And it's just like, you know, it all happened for a reason. And, you know, now that we're transitioning and Tahir's doing his thing, I'm just looking and I'm like, okay, it's about to go. It's about to go in that direction. We really, you know, we did the struggle already, you know.
Gotcha.
Like, what is it like running a company as a college student? You know what I'm saying? Because, like, I mentor a lot of cats. Even my brother, when he was in college, he was, I don't want to do a school for marketing. I was like, well, don't wait until you graduate to do something. You need to do something while you in school, though. Yeah. You know, but you're actually doing it. You know what I'm saying? So what is it like running a company of this magnitude, you know, in school still?
For me, it's amazing because I get to see the impact, like, just firsthand. Like, kind of what the story I told you about the guy who came up to me about the shorts was like, you're the reason why I'm at Howard. Like, seeing stuff like that is just like, that's just motivation, and it's just a reminder that I'm doing what I need to be doing. But I'm also like a DJ on campus, so like it's another way to like, you know, throw the brand out there and do giveaways and like parties and stuff like that. So it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun, just to put it in a nutshell. So
that's dope. We've seen a boom with the with HBCU driven brands, you know, since you guys came out. Like, what are your thoughts on that? Is it like the more the merrier? Or is it like, we see y'all?
You know what? AACA was the brand. I give it up to Chris Lown. I give it up because I was a retailer when that came out, and at the end of the day, it was Mark Van Grack that owned the company.
Yeah,
like you know, when we talk, I get to the like. Let's not sugarcoat it. Mark Van Grack, he was doing it, and he had Herb, who was in there. He had Miles and Linda Presley, and Chris was marketing. You know, Chris grew older, wiser, just as me, and he believed that it was still in existence for it, and he got it, got the name, and did what he has to do. But AACA, people all say, "Oh, you're doing the same thing Chris doing," and I'm like, you know what? There was Bad Boy, there was, you know, there's a ton of record labels, and we all making good music. He's making his product, and his product is nothing like mine, and vice versa.
Yeah.
But it's like, I love it. I love it. The more that means there's a viable customer out there, there's a yearning for it, and you know, if it's there, then at the end of the day, it's like, who brings the best? And going back to Tahir, Mr. Tradition. Let's not get this twisted. I mean, my wife said she went back on campus when I think he's moving off campus, and she said she walked across the campus and somebody screaming, "Hey, Mr. Tradition!" And I'm sitting there going, he really laid his game down to the point where it's DJing, so it's a lifestyle, walking, eat, sleep, and breathing it. And I'm like, you know what? It's time to fall back as the old man. Yeah, it's time to fall back and let this thing, like I said, go to a whole nother level, and that's really what he's been doing.
Yeah. And being a student, just like at a HBCU, the amazing Howard University, and I was talking to you guys earlier just about like how much talent is at Howard.
Yeah.
So everything that I do with the photo shoots, videographers, the models that I choose, all of them are products of HBCUs. They either went to Howard or go to a HBCU, attended a HBCU, whatever it may be. So just kind of like to keep it like in-house, I guess, is kind of like my purpose, my vision for the brand.
That's dope.
Yeah.
You had the opportunity to intern at one of the biggest, fashion brands out there with J. Crew. What's some of the game that you got from that you were able to bring back to the brand?
It was really interesting to see to be at such a powerhouse like J. Crew and seeing the standard of how they get everything done, everything, how they select their garments, how they plan and allocate products, just everything in terms of like the standard of how they just do business. It just gave me a whole new mindset in terms of like I need to go back home and I need to do X, Y, Z in these orders. So it's really just that whole summer was just about being a student and just going to like a big powerhouse like them and just like soaking up that info and bringing it home. So that's my vision. Every time I go and work with somebody or collaborate with somebody, it's like how can I bring this back to the brand? How can I use this for what I'm trying to do? And it was also amazing just to spend the summer in New York and just seeing how much the culture just influences fashion and streetwear and music and sports and all that. And it's like how it all intertwines. So just being in that environment, and that was my first summer to spend in New York for a really long time.
Gotcha.
So it was just amazing, just very eye-opening, and was able to network with a lot of people. So it was cool.
Dope.
Yeah.
That's dope. This is question for both of y'all because I feel like we're gonna get two completely different answers. What if I come across a lot of people who design clothes on their own or remix clothes or whatever, sell them or whatnot, but a lot of them, fashion is one of those businesses where I really feel like more than just about any other business there's the least information out there for you to actually excel at a high level. Like most people are not giving up the game or whatnot on that. What would you say from your perspective is advice? Because I'm sure people come to you all the time on campus like, yo, how can I do what you're doing? What advice would you give to somebody that's young out there that's a designer or even on the business side of fashion on how they can establish a brand and actually keep it going?
I really think you just gotta have two things, and that's to have a plan and have a purpose behind what you're doing. I feel like it's very just like cliche, but just like whatever you put your mind to, you could do. Just seeing everything that my dad's done from Vaughn's to SOHK to Tradition to now mentoring, guiding me in this whole process of building LHP. It's just like you're gonna bump your head, you're gonna have scars, you're gonna have bruises, but you just gotta push forward. But while you're pushing forward, you have to have a plan, and that all has to tailor to like your purpose and like what you're doing, and tailors to your why. So every time I'm out learning something or I bump my head, it's just thinking about like why am I doing this?
Absolutely.
So that's the best advice that I give the people all the time about staying true. So.
And then for me, there's definitely two different answers. I come from the era where there was no blueprint. It's almost just like hip hop. It was formed from what we saw and what we were trying to say. Well, we know you're not catering it to us, but we're taking it and we're making it big, but you're not giving us our credit. And I don't care if you go back to Run DMC with Adidas to Timberland boots to anything, Carhartt, whatever it may be, our culture, we take it and we elevate it. So now here it is, I'm living in a time where I'm looking back now. We talked about some brands, and there's some brands who are coming back now. And I sit there and I'll say, damn, are you reaching back for anybody? Now I've given advice to, a couple of people who've gone on and they've had success, or even people who've worked for me going on there, being successful inside the apparel game as salespeople, marketing people, what have you. But at the end of the day, it was just like, we're not passing the torch. We're not grabbing, we're not each one turn around and pulling somebody up. And like I said, I come from an industry that was primarily dominated by Jewish or Asian people. Asian on the production, Jewish people on the ownership and the sale, whatever. And I watched nepotism right in my face. Yeah. I watched my idea come to the table where I licensed the name School of Hard Knocks, where I should have partnered, but nobody told me anything.
Yeah.
But, no knock. I had my attorney, who was Jewish, talk to his attorney, and they worked out a deal. And I was like, oh, well, okay. But at the end of the day, we were doing good. But I was like, now I look back and I was like, but if I was a partner, why didn't you offer me a partnership? I didn't understand that. But then his son took over the company, and then it was like, I'm like, wait a minute, he's not even from my culture. It was handed to him. And I was just like, man, it's just, our culture, we make a lot of money we put a lot of people in position, and I mean, but I appreciate everything. Look at today, social media, where it's kind of, social media almost makes it I won't say even playing field, but when he was at J. Crew, one of the things that he told me was they didn't put an emphasis on social media. And I was like, you for real? And the social media really is the essence of a lot of businesses that drives it for them.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And he and the other people who were there, they created a whole, what was like a platform for them under J. Crew. And when he left, I said, you know what? You did what you had to do, and now you left. I said, they're not going to continue it because I think the CEO was somebody like he was 60 years old. He was just totally out of touch.
Yeah. Out of touch with digital media and just the power and influence of social media.
It's not uncommon.
So it's every industry. So I feel right now, it's like I have my son, I could turn and I could, as we say, Pete, give him game, put him up on some game, but watch him take that sharpened point that we have, and now let's write our own story, and that's really what's going on right now. And I just wish some of the other brands who I really feel are making a comeback or trying to make a comeback, that they just get some young people, because it's not cool. I got gray. It don't look cool when you're in the photo shoot and you got gray peeking out. You're trying to target. I'm the creepy old guy calling kids on campuses. So I'm like, hey, I need you as an influencer. They're like, well, it was just time to kind of back off. It was I deal with the alumni. He's got the campus, and but even the alumni respect him because he understands it's a pecking order. It's a process.
Tell us about the team as it exists right now. Is this a thing where it's like you're coming up with all the designs for everything yourself? Like, what is the team and like the input looking like for what the company's putting out?
It's definitely a collaborative effort. I have some other people on the team who I go to school with, and if they see something online, they'll shoot it to me. Like, I really think this would be a good idea. Then we'll work on it, and we'll just collaborate as a team. It's not just like me. He likes to give me a lot of the credit for a lot of things, but it's really like a team effort, and we wouldn't be where we are now without that collaboration.
So, all right. So this is something new we're gonna try this year. Maurice, I think it was your idea. You brought it up about asking, because if y'all don't know, we host Hip Hop Trivia Night here in Atlanta, which is one best trivia night in Atlanta, about 4 years in a row, been covered on Complex and all kind of the different places, and we'll be coming to a city near you soon. But we were like, let's bring it to the show. So, we want to ask y'all some questions.
All right.
HBCU driven questions. See how y'all do.
Stop sweating.
And either one of you, whoever wants to take it, is good. So we're going to start easy. What's the name of the annual Black College Bowl game that takes place here in Atlanta?
Celebration Bowl.
Celebration Bowl, correct.
1-0.
Yeah.
Oh, he done made it a competition.
Oh, that's what we're doing.
No, it's not okay. Y'all on the same.
This is Jeopardy now. All
Yeah,
right.
Jeopardy, man.
Exactly. All right. What's the name of the fictitious HBCU in Spike Lee's movie School Days?
That's a seasoned film for this.
Hold on. Not old, but a seasoned.
Respectfully. It's not FAMU, is it?
Nah,
Fictional.
it's fictitious. A fictitious college.
I thought it was like where it's taking place. I don't know.
You need a hint? Either one of y'all need it?
I keep going back to Hillman, and it's not Hillman.
No, it's not Hillman.
That's the first thing that popped
Starts
up.
with an M. Fictitious college.
Oh man. Then that's not an HBCU question.
It is it's HBCU in the movie. It's not. Technicality
Technically,
over
it's
here.
not.
So the correct answer is Mission College.
Mission College. Mission College. Mission. If I said major, Mission.
Hilarious. All right. Name the HBCU that Blackish creator Kenya Burris is an alumni of.
That's easy. The Clark, Atlanta.
That's right. Say it correctly. Say it with your chest. That's right.
So that's
The
1-1
Clark
now.
Atlanta
It's
University.
1 up now. It's 1 up now.
All right.
It's about to be 10-1 in a minute. Watch.
There's only 5 questions, and I feel like one of them he's gonna definitely get, but you might get it quicker. I don't want that to be the last one, so let's get that one out the way. Which one of these people did not attend Howard University? Sean Combs, Anthony Anderson, Laz Alonso, Denzel Washington, Toni Morrison.
Denzel.
I think that was about a tie. So 1.5 to 1.5. All right. Let's see. This is the last one. I believe. Cheney in Pennsylvania is recognized as the first HBCU. What year was it founded? And you got to get it within 10 years.
Within 10 years?
Within 10 years.
1861.
1850. I don't know.
1850, that's your answer?
That's the answer.
That's your answer?
That's the answer.
No, that's not the answer. I said, is that your answer? I like his confidence. I like his confidence. The correct answer is 1837. So your son was closest. Yeah. First one.
And you know how many emails we get?
For about
what do they say? I'm appalled that you do not have Cheney, who is the first. But I tell people it's about the demand. I mean, if your people ain't buying, I can't.
Absolutely.
Lincoln University. I love to. Dope colors, but if nobody's buying it, as a small company, we can't take that inventory position of doing something like that. But
that's true. It's still a business at the end of the day.
Business end of the day.
Tell people first of all where they can find you on social media, and more importantly, where they can purchase the product.
You can follow us on Instagram at Shop LHP, Twitter as well, Shop LHP, and shoplhp.com is our website. So, yeah.
Cool. Yo, we appreciate y'all coming
Thank
through,
you.
brother.
Appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Good luck with everything.
And make sure people see the front and the back of this jacket that you got on,
we're gonna take a picture. We're gonna take a picture of the back of the jacket too. Yeah.
That's definitely a garment that makes you feel like, man, I wish I went to that school. I need that jacket.
Exactly. But Happy New Year once again, man. We appreciate y'all listening. Make sure you follow us. Make sure you comment, subscribe, rate, and review. We'll see you next week with another dope show. Peace.